This is a video I've had lots of requests for, but it's a very, very difficult one to make. The main reason for that is it's very difficult to get quotes for a salary sacrifice car if you're not already part of a salary sacrifice scheme. So for this video, I'm using a private lease quote from Lease Loco. Other leasing websites are available. And then I'm comparing that to something from one of the lease companies, which is just an example that they give you. So it's not particularly tailored, it's not particularly accurate, but hopefully it gives you a good idea of how salary sacrifice works and maybe if it's for you or not, if it's something you should think about, if it's available with your employer. So let's check it out. So we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it in a sec, where I'm going to show you the two different sites and have a chat about it in general. But on a high level, salary sacrifice is where you choose not to take a portion of your salary and that goes towards a benefit instead. In this case, a car, an electric car actually. I'll explain why it needs to be electric in a minute. You might think that's bananas, why would I give away some of my salary? Well, you're giving it away because it means you're not getting taxed on it. You're not paying tax and national insurance on money because you haven't had it. The company is actually using that to get you a car instead. Now, what that means is you have to pay company car tax. And this is why it's important that you get an EV, because benefit in kind on EVs at the moment is very low. So the amount you pay is very, very low. I did do a video on company car tax and the complexities around that. So go and check that out. There's a link popping in the top corner now. The difference between a salary sacrifice lease and a private lease is generally the salary sacrifice lease is almost always fully maintained. It's almost always fully insured. You don't usually pay a deposit, and sometimes it includes something called leaver protection. That means if you leave your job, you give the car back. It doesn't always include that, but usually does. And that protects you and the employer. The employer's not left with a company car that they're paying for every month, but don't have someone to sit in it. And for you, if you lose your job or you leave your job, you're not stuck with a car that you needed for that job potentially. Or maybe you can no longer afford to run, or maybe you're earning a lot more money and you want a nicer car. So it's a nice flexible thing for kind of everyone. You can only get one of these if your employer does a salary sacrifice scheme, and lots of employers don't. But if a salary sacrifice scheme is available with your employer, do check it out because it's well worth having a look at. As I said, I haven't made this video previously because it's so difficult to get good examples and fair examples and comparisons, but I'm just going to try here with a fairly high level thing. What I would suggest you do is, if your employer does have a salary sacrifice scheme, get yourself a quote for a car that you're really interested in, and then go on to Lease Loco. Other leasing websites are available. Run the same conditions on that, and just bear in mind that that one's not going to be insured and maintained and all that sort of stuff. Just compare them and see which one works out best. Certainly if you're a 40% taxpayer, that you should see a significant saving in going down the salary sacrifice route. But of course, it's not available to everyone. Everyone's situation and circumstances are different. So all I can really say is, if your company has a salary sacrifice scheme, look into it. Right, let's have a look at the example. Okay, so just to get started here, I'm just going to look at the best deal I can find on a Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus on Lease Loco. And that's simply because that's the one I can find an example of on some documentation for a salary sacrifice. And that one is a nothing up front, 4 years, 8,000 mile a year deal. So that's what we're looking at here. Looking at nothing up front, and then £512 a month. This is non-maintained, non-insured, nothing else, okay? So 512 quid a month. Then if you factor in something for your insurance, maybe another 50, 60 quid a month. Depends on where you live, your age, your driving experience, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got to factor something in for your servicing's next to nothing on a Tesla, is it? But you're gonna have to factor something in for tyres and tyre rotation, which you should do after so many miles. So just completely off the top of my head, say £600 a month. If you were to do a personal lease, insure it and look after it yourself. This is not science, as you can tell. It's very difficult to do because there are so many variables. Just things like the cost of insurance make a massive difference. So I'm just trying to give you a very general idea of what salary sacrificing is all about. So Octopus do salary sacrifice schemes, and this is their sort of prospectus, if you like, their sales document. This is not an accurate quote that you might get today or tomorrow. This is a very general example they're giving you, but you've got to think it's going to be around about this sort of ballpark figure. Maybe it's going to be 50 quid one way or the other. But with this one, this person's earning £80,000 a year, so they're a 40% taxpayer, which is an important part to remember. And this includes insurance and accident management, service and maintenance and repair, roadside assistance, tyre replacement due to wear and tear, early termination, protections for unforeseen circumstances, and a £500 end of contract damage waiver. So if the damage on the car when it goes back is under 500 quid, they don't charge you anything. And this is basically how it works. So the gross sacrifice, so the amount of salary that this Julia is losing every month, is 752 quid, and the net difference in her pay is 450 quid. That's basically a tax and national insurance saving of £316 a month. You'll see the benefit in kind changes each year. So this year it's 1%, but from next year it'll be 2%. So that's how much benefit in kind you're paying every month. So with this, every month she's got her Tesla. It's taxed, it's insured, it's maintained, protection if she loses her job or she leaves her job, and there's a little bit of damage allowed when the car goes back, and it's costing her 450 quid a month. That's how much worse off she is from her salary. So although she's losing 752 quid of her salary, it's costing her 450 quid a month when all's said and done. You may think, amazing, I'll just go and do that. Job done. There's a salary sacrifice scheme at work, I'm going to go and do it. On the face of things, if there's a salary sacrifice scheme at your work and you want an EV, you should look into it. Job done. Like, full stop. Definitely, because it can be a really, really cheap way of getting yourself in a car. It can be cheaper than doing a personal lease and insuring it yourself and maintaining it. However, you're losing that bit of your salary when it comes to things like declarations for mortgage applications and finance applications. So if you're cutting it a bit fine as to what you can afford on a mortgage, when they do the affordability checker and they ask for your salary, their lending calculators and things like that, this might not be a good idea for you. You really need to give that some consideration, because if you earn, say, £50,000 a year at the moment and you want to get a mortgage on that, and they're going to use X times your salary to calculate how much they're prepared to lend you on a mortgage, and you suddenly are earning £752 a month, so you're earning 9 grand less in the eyes of the lender, well, they're going to do 41,000 times however many to decide how much they're going to lend you on a mortgage. Do you see where I'm coming from? So although it may be a great way of getting yourself in a car a bit cheaper, it might not help you if you want to go and buy a bigger house or buy a house. Just think about that. But on the face of it, if you're not worried about that side of things, if you're not worried about mortgages and things like that, and your employer has a salary sacrifice scheme for EVs, then you should definitely get a quote on it. Jump onto Lease Loco, other leasing websites are available, and see what you can get on a personal deal, private deal, and just compare them. It makes a lot of sense to go with one of these if they're available, but it's not going to be the answer to everyone. I can't believe I haven't asked you yet, but give the video a thumbs up, will you guys? It helps. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. We've got more of the lease deals of the month videos coming up. Don't forget, we do 3 of those every month now. Let me know what you thought of this. As I said, I haven't been able to go into a ton of detail and I haven't been able to make this massively accurate because I don't have a salary sacrifice scheme that I can compare it with. That may change in future, and if it does, I'll make an update video. But for now, I hope you enjoyed that one. Let me know what you think in the comments, and go and check this video out next, because maybe, just maybe, you'll like it. See you next time.